Hi everyone, welcome to week 4. This is your Pharmaceutical Procedures 1 course, and this week we're going to be covering Chapter 4, which is all about the metric or international system. You'll see it abbreviated sometimes as the SI system. Now this system's been around for quite a while. It was developed in France in 1875, and the name metric system comes from one of the base units of measurement, which is the meter. And years ago, if you are as old as me, you know that there was a lot of talk at one time of the metric system basically taking over. But unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your thought process, it did not happen. However, it is still used quite a bit in the sciences. So that's why we're going to be covering it, because you will be seeing this information in use in pharmacy quite a bit. And the main benefits of the metric system is that it's based on the powers of 10, and we can convert between units of measure simply by moving the decimal point either left or right. So the base units that are involved with the metric system are the meter for the measure of length, the liter for volume, and gram for weight. So those are the 3 basic units, and then what we do is we use those basic units, and then we have prefixes in front of them. So larger or smaller prefixes added onto those base units will give you everything that you need to know about those numbers in the metric system. So here's some of the abbreviations that are associated with them. We have the letter G for gram, mg for milligram, and mcg for microgram. Really important to note the difference there. Then L for liter, and it's a capital letter L. ML for milliliter, kg for kilogram, and km for kilometer. And then when we're writing the metric units, we always start with the number piece, which is just written in regular, what we call Arabic numerals, and that goes first, and then we have the quantity, or the abbreviation after that quantity. So they give you some examples here, 3 milliliters, for example. We always use a space between the number and the abbreviation. If we have a fractional part, we would write that as a decimal. So we don't write fractions is like 1/2, we would write it as 0.5. So 35.5, we wouldn't write 35.5. So it's all about using decimal notation when we're working with the metric system, and that's because it is based on the powers of 10. If we have just a fractional piece, in other words, there's no whole number part, we do always put a 0 in front of that decimal point, and that's so that we don't miss it. We don't want to mistake that decimal point for just a spot or something, because that could be detrimental to our calculations. We don't put excess zeros after the decimal. So this is a good example right here. Notice how it says 4.5 and then there's 2 zeros. Those 2 zeros would drop off because, again, we don't want to mistake that decimal point for something other than a decimal point. So getting rid of those excess zeros is always very important. Some of the common units that we're going to be using in healthcare, as far as weight goes, we're going to be using kilogram and gram, milligram, and microgram. So those are the 4 basic ones that we're going to be using in healthcare when it comes to weight. When it comes to volume, we're going to be using mostly liters and milliliters. And when we get ready to do conversions between these units, we're going to be moving decimal points. So we're either moving to the left or to the right, depending on whether or not the number's getting larger or smaller. And so that's the beauty of using the metric system. We can easily convert between. So when you go from smaller to larger, we're going to move to the left, and when we go the other direction, larger to smaller, we're going to move to the right. And so this is an example if we're going to go from, say, milligrams to grams, we're going to move the decimal 3 places to the left. Say we're going grams to milligrams, we're going to go 3 to the right. So that's what this is trying to show you here. So, basically once you learn that rule of thumb, which direction you move and how many places, you're really going to have this topic down pretty easily. We want to, of course, make sure that we are diligent so that we don't make errors. Most errors are happening because of decimal moving the decimal place. So we just really want to make sure that we, think about it. Is this supposed to be a small dose or large dose? Anytime we see something that we're not sure about, reach out to a coworker or a pharmacist and say, hey, can you help me with this? I'm not sure. So if at any point this week you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me, and have a great week.